Hello everyone. Today what we're going to look at is the sine rule, which are one of the two advanced trigonometric rules that you have to learn for GCSE. By the end of this video you should understand what the sine rule is and how to apply it to harder questions. So let's start with a simple one. We have two sides and we have two angles that are opposites, right? How are we going to find what x is? Well, first thing we can do is we can label each of the sides A, B, C. And what we can do is we can label the side opposite the lowercase. So we can call this A, B, and C. The sine rule reads as follows. Sine A over A is equal to sine B over B, which is equal to sine C over C. Yeah? That is the sine rule in a nutshell. And if this is true, then it means that A over sine A is equal to B over sine B, which is also equal to C over sine C. Okay? So now let's use that to our advantage. What is our A in this case? It is x. So let's write it out. X over what's our angle A going to be? 32. So x over sine 32 is going to be equal to, what's our B? Our B is 2.9 and our angle B is 84. So x over sine 32 is equal to 2.9 over sine 84. And now all we need to do is make x the subject. To do that, we times both sides by sine 32. And so what we're left with is x is equal to 2.9 over sine 84 times sine 32. And then when you plug all of that into your calculator, you should get an answer of 1.55 centimeters. And all we did was use this rule here. And it works the same if, let's say, you have two sides and two angles. But for this example, we don't know what the third angle is. Well, we can find that out because what do a triangle's angles add up to? A triangle's angles add up to 180. So if I call this alpha, we know that alpha is equal to 180 minus 76 minus 65. Which is equal to 39 degrees. And so now let's use our sine rule. I'll call this one A, and I'll call this A. I'll call this one B, and I'll call this B. I'll call this one C, and this one C. So, sine A over A is equal to sine B over B. I don't need C for this case because this isn't a length that we know. Okay, so now let's see what we've got. Our A in this case is 39, so sine 39 is there. Our A length is x, and it's equal to, our B is 76, so sine 76 over our length is 7.7. Now, notice how I did this the wrong way round. That's fine, because all I need to do is just flip the fractions. So now we're left with x over sine 39 is equal to 7.7 over sine 76. And now all I need to do is times both sides by sine 39. Okay? And so what we're left with is that, I'll put this up here actually. X is equal to 7.7 over sine 76 times sine 39. And so when we plug all of that into our calculator, we are left with an answer of 4.99 centimeters. What about if the angle is unknown? Well, when the angle is unknown, then we just follow the sine rule as usual. So let's label our sides. We got an A here. Opposite that is A. We've got a B here, and opposite that is a B here. And then we don't have C's, so let's just not even bother. What is our A here? We got sine X. Because we are looking for an angle, this time the trig identity goes on the numerator. Over 7.4 is equal to sine 43 over 6.4. Okay? And again, we want to make x the subject, so let's multiply both sides by 7.4. Okay? And so what we're left with is that sine x is equal to sine 43 over 6.4 times 7.4. And now let's work that out. So when we do that and we plug that into our calculator, we get an answer of 0.7885 whatever. So now let's find the inverse of that. So x is just going to be the inverse sine of 0.7885, okay? And when we do that, we are left with an answer of 52.05 degrees, okay? So it's the exact same as we did in trigonometry when we did SOHCAHTOA, where we're trying to find the inverse when we're looking for an angle. Exact same scenario here, where this time, okay, we have two angles and we have two sides, so it's going to be sine rule, only this time we don't have this angle alpha. I'm just going to call this alpha. We can still work out what x is, we're just going to have to work out what alpha is first. So sine alpha, if we call this A, what's our lowercase a going to be? It's going to be this 52, because remember, it's opposite the angle, over 5.2 is equal to, we have a B here, and so our lowercase b is going to be this 7. So sine 82 over 7. So now let's multiply by 5.2. So then sine alpha is equal to sine 82 over 7 times 5.2. Okay? And once we've done that, we are left with an answer of 0.7356, whatever. So then alpha is just going to be the inverse sine of 0.7356, whatever. and that's just going to equal 47.36 degrees. However, this is what alpha is equal to. So what's x going to be equal to? X is simply going to be equal to 180 minus 82 minus 47.36. And so what we're left with is an answer of 50.64 degrees. Okay? So we're still using the sine rule, and we're learning what we did in the polygons video that I did a couple days ago. What about if it's an obtuse angle? So this will be a bit weird because you're going to get a weird answer on your calculator, most likely. Again, the protocol is the same. We have an A, we have a little a, we have a B, and we have a little b, okay? Sine x over 5.2 is still the same as sine 26 over 3.2, okay? So it's the exact same, and we're still going to multiply both sides by 5.2. Just so that we can get this x on its own. So sine x is still going to be equal to 5.2 sine 26 over 3.2, which is equal to, when we put that on our calculator, we get an answer of 0.7123, whatever. But if we work out what sine x is equal to, right, sine, or rather the inverse sine, excuse me, x is going to be equal to the inverse sine of 0.7123, but that's equal to 45.42, excuse me, right? But this is an obtuse angle, right? So it can't be 45.43. So in this case, because it's sine, right? And I'll explain why this is the case in a future video. What we're going to do is we're going to do 180 minus our answer, which is 45.43. And then when we do that, we're left with an answer of 134.57. And we know this is true because sine 134.57 should be equal to 0.7123, whatever. So whenever it's obtuse and you're using sine rule, you do 180 minus ans. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope that this video made sense. If you guys liked it, please consider subscribing as it helps out the channel a lot. If you guys have any further questions or comments, ask me in the comments down below, or join my Discord server if you have an individual question to ask. Finally, if you guys want to be tutored by me, drop me an email as we can organize a meeting and a quote. Keep on learning, as you have no idea what you're capable of doing.